the MCU has some of the most memorable quotes in cinema. So what I've done is I've ranked my top 10 and we're going to get right into it. So starting off at number 10, we have one from Avengers Age of Ultron, and here it is.
Okay, look, the city is flying. We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
So Age of Ultron definitely wasn't the greatest MCU film, but it was a pretty good film nonetheless. But when Hawkeye was talking to Wanda, giving him the pep talk about being an Avenger, this quote really stuck out to me. First of all, it shows some self-awareness from the MCU about how insane the things that are happening in these movies actually are. And Hawkeye's just kind of a regular guy who has some enhanced abilities, but he's more of a regular dude with a regular family and stuff. And this just shows what a regular person would think in the situation where all this insane stuff is happening. So not a lot to say about that, but that one stuck out to me for some reason. Now we're going to move right on to number 9.
We are Groot.
I'm not exactly sure how this line didn't come off super cheesy, but it somehow didn't, and I'm taking a guess and saying these 3 words absolutely changed your life when you first heard them. Now, even though it's a talking tree, it really shows you the growth of the character of Groot and the Guardians together and the value of their friendship. It's honestly such a beautiful and emotional scene that's coming from a tree. Like I said, this should come off super cheesy and corny. Somehow it doesn't. It would honestly be a sin not to put this on the list. It's such an iconic MCU quote, and honestly probably the most popular quote from the Guardians movies. I had to put it on this list. Moving on to number 8, we have another quote from the Avengers. Let's get right to it.
Come for you. I have an army. We have a Hulk.
I mean, come on, this is just such an amazing quote. How calmly he responds to Loki, who's threatening him with an entire army. This perfectly shows how cocky Tony is and his personality, but it shows his real personality there, and also shows how much faith he really has in his team and how confident he is that he will not lose to Loki and his army. Plus, this comeback honestly just makes whoever you say this to absolutely terrified if you have that much confidence in one guy. Moving on to number 7, we have another Avengers quote here, so let's just get right to it.
I recognize the council has made a decision, but given that it's a stupid-ass decision, I've elected to ignore it.
Speaking of being confident and badass when you say quote, this might be the definition of a badass quote. It's kind of the perfect mixture of humor and seriousness at the same time. And also, once again, it shows how much trust that Nick Fury has in the Avengers. He goes against the council because he believes in the Avengers, showing how powerful he knows they can really be, and giving the audience a preview that we know what's about to happen. And I mean, everything that Nick Fury says sounds so cool, so how can I not include at least one Nick Fury quote on this list? For number 6, we stick with the Avengers theme, but this time we move to Infinity War.
You should have gone for the head.
Just another person who has tons of amazing quotes, so there had to be a few here. That's a little preview. There's more of this guy to come on this list, but Thanos, so many amazing quotes, but this one is just legendary. Just when you thought you were watching a regular old Avengers film where the heroes come away with the victory, Thanos says his famous line. This made everyone go absolutely insane the first time you heard it, and you realized what was happening right at this moment. Also, the ripple effect of this one line is huge for how everything plays out, and just this one little mistake that Thor made changes everything. Plus, this line gets paid off at the beginning of Endgame, which is a bit of a bonus for this quote. For number 5 here, we're taking it way back to the basics. You probably already know what this is, but let's cut to it right now.
I am Iron Man.
The quote that launched a single movie into a universe so big that we could have never imagined. I mean, this broke the norm for superhero movies, where everyone's identity was always a secret, and while it broke the norm for superhero movies, it also perfectly showed Tony's character and how different he is, and he wants the fame, he wants the attention, unlike everyone else who wants to be like the masked hero and the Batmans and stuff that we had before in the biggest superhero movies. This changed everything, like I said, launched the MCU as we know it. Now, we couldn't go an entire top 10 without one of the most motivational speakers here. At number 4, we have the Captain.
I could do this all day.
This quote to me perfectly sums up Cap's character, a genuinely good guy who just wants to fight for what he believes is right. He has said this multiple times in the MCU, but in Civil War it's just so powerful and it's a bit different from how he shows his true spirit and persistence to fight for his friend and his beliefs, even though he just got absolutely beaten by Tony Stark. really just shows a true testament of his character. So we're about to get into our top 3. If you could just leave a like, I'm aiming for 75 likes on this video, because every time I've done it, we've blown away the goal so far, so aiming high this time, and just leave a comment with your all-time favorite MCU quote. Now let's see if your favorite is in my top 3 or not.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Learning to live with failure and eventually trying to right your wrongs was the entire theme of Endgame and Infinity War, and who better to remind the Avengers that they completely lost than the man who beat them himself, Thanos. Like I said before, Thanos has so many great lines, but the delivery and timing of this one was amazing, and when he said this, you knew an amazing battle was about to take place between the big 3 and Thanos. Number 2 might be a little bit of an unpopular one, but it's another Endgame quote, so let's get right to it.
Then again, that's the hero gig. Part of the journey is the end.
Part of the journey is the end. Such an emotional quote to encapsulate the entire MCU up to this point and represent the beginning of a new story, new characters. We have to move on. Tony's not there, Cap's not there, the main Avengers squad is in the past, but part of the journey is the end is just the perfect quote to end off a perfect movie in my eyes. Now, not perfect film-wise, but as a fan, everyone loved that movie. Also, the fact that he's giving this speech to his daughter, who might turn into Ironheart in the future, is just a very powerful moment. And coming in at our number 1 spot, we go back to the Avengers for another quote.
Because if we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn well sure we'll avenge it.
Yes, another Avengers Tony quote made it, and it landed at number 1. But this is such an amazing quote. It was a very powerful quote the first time, and showing the Avengers' complete mindset that they're going to do everything they can. Even if they lose, they will try to get the right outcome, no matter what. It was powerful at the time when he was saying it to Loki, but now with Infinity War and Endgame, it means so much more and perfectly embodies everything that the Avengers stand for and had to go through. Like I said, they've been setting up the fact that the Avengers are going to take a huge loss since the very first Avengers movie, and they were going to do one thing, avenge it. So like I said, this quote has so much meaning through so many movies, and it was great at the time, so I landed this one at number 1. Now, like I said, tell me what your absolute favorite MCU quote is right now. Make sure to check out my playlist or other videos here on the channel. I have tons of Marvel rankings for characters, movies, everything else you can imagine. So watch the playlist, sub, and I'll see you guys in the next one.